Hello everyone, this is Elizabeth Miller, Executive Director from the Romeo Downtown Development Authority, bringing you our new podcast, Downtown Romeo Update. Your monthly update from your Romeo DDA. We'll be sharing the latest news, stories, and as well as interviews with businesses and residents from our Romeo community every month. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. I'm here with Madison Rausch, the DDA's Event and Admin Coordinator. Welcome, Madison.
Hello. Glad to be here.
So we're going to go through some of our March updates, and we have a lot happening here, don't we?
Oh yeah, there's a lot going on. We got a lot of exciting things coming downtown.
So one of the next thing that's happening, or that happens on a weekly basis, is to talk a little bit about our volunteer and events, volunteer meetings that we have every week.
Yeah, so every Tuesday at 10 a.m. right here in our DDA office, we have a volunteer and event committee meeting where residents, business owners, anyone who wants to get involved with our downtown events or help out around our downtown, we come together, discuss what we want to see, what we want to do, and we put those plans into action. So we're working with a lot of different types of community members, making sure everyone's involved, and so everyone has a good experience, and we're gathering these different perspectives, which, without these meetings, it'd just be us.
Yeah.
So we're doing our outreach.
Yeah, and we don't have good enough ideas all by ourselves. We need them. We need them coming from other people. And we've called those focus groups, haven't we? We've broken out into separate focus groups.
So we've just established these new focus groups where people can take different types of leads and actions on the things that they're passionate about. So we have a beautification focus group, and they're going to be focusing on, what are some of the ideas that we want to bring to downtown for beautification. And it'll go through our event meetings, and it'll go through us, and we're doing a lot of pretty cool things.
And then speak a little bit about what we just started this last month. We have our first ever evening meeting. We have them on the first Thursday of every month, right? Talk a little bit about that.
So we've been doing these evening meetings on the first Thursday of every month. The next one is April 6th at 7 p.m.
Yes. Yep.
And these meetings are a larger group for people who work during the day and people who still want to get involved, but it's like, oh, we can't make these Tuesday meetings. How can we help? So we're gathering in a bunch of different residents, because a lot of residents show up in the evenings where a lot of business owners show up in the mornings. And it's a really cool thing where we're bringing all these different people together, and these evening meetings, we get this, I don't know, like it's
a different vibe.
Yeah, it's a different feeling.
Yeah.
Just everyone gets really excited, and it's like, oh my gosh, having a good time.
Yeah, there's something about the charm of downtown Romeo that just, it's a lot of small towns, right? But it's very Mayberry and Norman Rockwell. And, what's the other buzzword people say? It's like a Hallmark Channel movie down here all the time, And so we get the pleasure of working with all these people and inviting the community to be part of that and to volunteer. It's just really, it's fun to see people smile and be excited to be helping. Tell us a little bit about some of the events we have coming up. I know on Friday, April 28th, it's Arbor Day. And this will be the third annual Arbor Day celebration that the Romeo Tree Board is doing. It's a little bit different this year, but just speak real briefly and then how that's going to segue into our Spring Fest.
Yeah, so Arbor Day is going to be that last Friday of the month, and that's going to be happening at the Trailside Park.
Right by the bike path, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But kind of bouncing off of that, bringing more business downtown, more life to downtown, we're going to be launching a brand new thing, Spring Fest, which has come up from these event and volunteer committee meetings.
Yeah.
And we're going to be having live music, children's activities, many more things.
Talk about the chalk.
Oh, yeah. This is going to be our launch to the Chalk the Walk, which happens in May. So there will be some chalk artists downtown on Saturday, April 28th. Not 29th. April 29th.
April 29th.
So we'll be having chalk artists, a lot of different types of arts things. We'll have
lots
music,
of things.
art.
The Peace Pulls. The Peace Pulls for the Starkweather Arts Center is coming.
Starkweather had received a grant for different peace poles that they can place around town, and that's going to be revealed on that Saturday as well. So there will be a little self-guided walking tour happening. I think they're going to be starting at the Chamber around noon.
Another activity that's happening is they're going to, I believe the Peach Queen and maybe the Peach Court might be doing story time reading in front of Kezar Library.
Yeah, they might be. We'll find out
Yeah.
some more details coming up soon there, though.
And then on Sunday the 30th, there will be some historic horse-drawn wagon rides happening again.
Oh, yeah. Those
That's
wagon
fun.
rides that we've had for Winterfest, Screech Fest, they'll be coming back. It'll be a wonderful time.
Quite popular events that are happening. So, well, thank you for bringing us updates for March and some of what's coming up in April. And we'll look forward to doing our next podcast. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
This podcast is powered by the Mitt TV of Romeo, Michigan. If you have a podcast you'd like to jumpstart for your local business or personal use, please contact the Mitt TV at mitt.tvromeo@gmail.com. That's mitt.tvromeo@gmail.com. Now back to the show. We are here with Steve Schmitt, who is the Chief Experience Officer for People Driven Credit Union. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you for having me.
So recently you joined People Driven Credit Union through a partnership with Community Alliance Credit Union, correct?
That's correct.
Tell us a little bit about what a Chief Experience Officer is, because most people, when I mention that, they have no idea what that is.
Well, a chief experience officer is kind of responsible for the experience of the customer, which we call a member because they're a owner of the credit union. So I monitor, at the time, I had monitored a lot of the operations and stuff like that. Now somebody else is responsible for the operations, but I am in contact with them. They're on my team, and we talk together about what's going on, how is the loan experience, how is the in-office experience, how is the online experience, how is the community experience, and all of that. So it's everything that goes into the experience of the customer.
Okay, great. So honing in on that a little bit, let's talk about the community experience.
Okay.
So you've joined People Driven Credit Union, I believe, on January 1st,
Right.
when the merger happened.
Right.
And then we got to know each other a little bit when the partnership with the Romeo Downtown Development Authority
Correct.
began. And I remember this light bulbs going off about like, oh, we can do this and we can do this. And People Driven Credit Union has been part of the Romeo community for quite a while. How do you see your role and now this new partnership with the Downtown Development Authority, also known as Downtown Romeo? How do you see that bringing that experience that you had in Livonia? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Okay. So what we did in Livonia, so when I was with Community Alliance Credit Union, we served Livonia only. And a lot of what we had one office right there. So what we did was we got very involved with the chamber, with other organizations within the community, the universities and other business groups, and then even some residential schools, things like that. So what we really did was be a part of the community, and to me, that's what being a community credit union is really not just getting business from the community, but giving to the community. So that's really what we did there, was we help out, we're involved in things and involved in anything going on. And so it was really kind of a natural fit. As you said, we've been in Romeo for a long time. I think it was like 1958 that they started at the Ford Proving Grounds in Romeo.
Yeah, just north of here.
Right. So they've had a long time presence here, and they've been involved, and what we're going to do is really get more involved, because now as we grow and have more people who can be responsible for more things, I can then focus a little bit more on working on building the relationships within the community, like the relationship that we've begun to build,
Yeah.
the relationship with the chamber, and then looking for opportunities to be involved in other things. So that's really what it's about, is being a part of the community, is being involved with the community and the things that the community does and feels. And so even though I am from Livonia, I'll be spending a lot more time up here, and it's a great place to spend time.
So to that point, you just had an opportunity to use one of the rooms behind you here,
Right.
one of 9 offices up in this space that has gone unused for the last 5 years since People Driven has owned this building. What was that experience like, kind of having a remote workspace up here?
Yeah, and it works really well for me because I can tap into my Wi-Fi that's downstairs, so that's a little better. But even without that, it's great to have the space, and I would do the same thing if I had, if you were down in Southfield where our headquarters is, I got a meeting. That's the kind of thing, to me, that's what we do with partners, is we help them out in the community. Yes, it expands beyond Romeo, because here you serve, I think even the chamber
Yeah.
is the Romeo Washington chamber, right? So
Yes.
it goes beyond just the physical boundaries, like the downtown. I know you're the Downtown Development Authority.
Correct. Yeah.
You're probably involved with some people that aren't specifically
Quite a
downtown,
bit,
and
yeah.
those relationships matter. So it was great to be able to use the space. And as I told you earlier, hey, can I use something, come out early, do that, because I had a meeting, and that allowed me to end my meeting and come in here. And that's what partnership is.
So let's talk a little bit more about that. So we had a unique situation where we needed to find new office space, and our former board chair, who's the Kelly Stevens, who's the chamber director here in Romeo, has known the Roberts family for quite some time. And so she came in as a customer and said, "Hey, what are you doing with the upstairs? Tell us about why the light bulbs went off for people driven for the DDA to be able to use this space up here." I think we estimated it's about 2,000 square feet, 9 offices, a conference room, this space that we're meeting in right here. Why is this good for people driven and the downtown businesses and the DDA?
Well, as you know, I was recently at a conference, and at that conference, one of the things he said was proximity is power. And I think, if we want to develop this community further, then you need to be not just in the community, but in the proximity of the people who are involved in the community. And to us, it seemed to make perfect sense that, okay, you need a space, we've got space, and you've made what was not a nice space
Yeah,
a
it was a little
beautiful
interesting.
space. Yeah, it wasn't used. It was
Yeah.
totally unutilized. So what you've done there, and that's what I think is, take something that, again, we look around now, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
It wasn't beautiful before, but it wasn't being used.
Yeah.
And unused space, it's just like time. If you don't use your time, it's gone. Well, every hour that this space went unused, it was wasted. And so now it's alive.
It is alive.
Yeah, and that's it. And that's what I think is, that we could help the community. And as I said, it's not about what you get from the community, because if you give to the community, it always comes back.
And we're seeing that already. So
Right.
thank you for adding to that. One of the things that we've seen already happen is last night the Youth Advisory Committee, which is funded through the Four County Community Foundation, which is a big organization in this community of nonprofit, giving back hundreds of thousands of dollars to 4 counties in here. And so that group of 25 kids were in here last night, and it was fun to watch them, and it filled the space. For the listeners who don't know, all of the furnishings that are in this space has also been donated by the People Driven Credit Union from their Livonia offices. And we're so grateful for this, because it's turned, the space just into this workable environment in a very short time. The chamber is going to be soon having their TNT meetings up here a couple times a month, and my board is working. The DDA board is working on policies to figure out, and I know a partnership with you. How about we speak a little bit to some of the sponsors and donors who've used their resources to make this space good? What do you think? Should we talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. So I've got a big old list here, and we won't go through every single one, but obviously, first and foremost, a huge shout out to People Driven Credit Union. They have graciously sponsored the Romeo DDA in a 5-year rent-free lease to use this space in partnership of the furnishings like we talked about. The Mitt TV has given monetary donations. Tech City Electronics. I don't know if you've met Mike Romano yet, but he's a force to be reckoned with in our community. He has donated the Roku TV and the stand in there, and
Nice.
IT helps. So when we get some more equipment. I know I told you about all the flooring. Romeo floors. In fact, they were just here doing some finishing touches.
Great.
They did all of our carpet and our vinyl at cost. So that was probably about a $5,000 in-kind donation. Cameron Plumbing and Heating did all of the plumbing upgrades at cost. So we were very grateful for him and his son. He's his apprentice. Matthew Joseph Electrical did all of the electrical. Remember the lighting?
Yep.
What was the lighting like when we
Yeah.
first came up here? Do you remember?
It
It
was
was
just
kind of creepy.
Yeah, it was. It was dim and dull,
Yeah.
right? And now it's bright and vibrant,
Flickery, like where are the
right?
ghosts, and wondering like this building was probably, I'm guessing in the 70s maybe, but wondering like, okay, are there ghosts from the 70s? I don't know, but it kind of had that mood. But now it's all well done, nice lighting done. We have some cabinetry that's being done by a couple local artisans. Tar Financial donated a monetary amount. Al Keller of Keller and Associates. Romeo Printing for street photography, Signorama from, they're also chamber members. They're doing some of our signage out front. Gosh, let's see. Jesco Greenhouse has our summer contract. They're going to be putting some ferns in here for our open house.
I met your painter when I was up here.
Yes, thank
right?
you, Salcedo Painting. Who else? There's another one. Oh, Stone's Ace Hardware, another one of our Central Business District businesses, donated most of the paint that for all
Nice.
the paint that was done in here. Oh goodness, I can't forget Rolling Stream Water. They donated a reverse osmosis system, and I don't know if you knew that.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, so you
Yeah.
can get some good water to go
Okay.
before you leave.
Great.
But that was a complete and total donation. Julie Day, who's the owner over there, she's like, I want to put that in for you. We're like, okay, thanks.
Right.
We're gonna have a constant or consistent donation through 5 Degrees North Coffee Roastery. They want to supply our coffee and our pods, so they're going to be opening up soon downtown.
Okay.
So by hearing all of SS stripping of Shelby Township, remember the gate at the bottom of the stairs?
Yeah.
It was all icky and
Right.
rickety and kind of chipped and whatever. They came, took it. He's like, I'll just pick it up. He came, picked it up, and took it to their shop and completely sandblasted it and redid it, and now it looks like a brand new
So
gate
that's the
downstairs.
same gate.
That's
yeah, I
the
noticed
same
it
gate.
this
You didn't know
morning.
that?
No,
Yeah.
I didn't know it was the
It's the
same
same
gate.
gate.
It's nice and new.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So when you hear, I think we probably said about 15 different sponsors and donors. When you hear that, what does that say to you as the Chief Experience Officer about the Romeo community?
Well, obviously they come together for good. And what it reminds me of is Renee DeMarco is the CEO of People Driven Credit Union, and she has something that she says all the time, and it takes a village. And that's an example of what it takes to do something. It doesn't take, again, how quickly did this come about? The decision to do it was one thing, and then
Yeah.
getting it to look like this. When did we sign the lease?
We signed the lease on January 20th.
Okay, January 20th, and we sit here today on
the-
March 20th, so
Oh,
2 months
yeah.
to the day.
That's
Okay,
awesome.
and February is a short one, so you didn't even get the
That's
full,
true.
So when you put that all together and you look around this space, and I don't know if you took before pictures. I'm horrible
yes.
at that. I don't take the before, and then I'm like, oh, you should have seen it before. But if people see the before and after, and then they see what a village can do, and all it is, like you said, yeah, people can paint, people can, an individual can do a lot of those things themselves, but when you put the right people, and that's what I believe is when you bring the right people, like even the videographers.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, some of us have a video camera at home. We don't do the job that they do. When you hire the people to do what they're meant to do, and that's where it all comes together, because that's an economy, and that's what Romeo is. Downtown Romeo is an economy, and all those people able to bring it together and help each other. And that's what I think, when I think of Romeo, that's what I think of, and why it's a great place to be a part of. And I'm excited about, this is just the beginning of what we're going to do together.
I think so too. If you look over there, see how there's a camera right up there?
Yep.
You didn't know you've been on camera this whole time already.
That's right.
So from Tech City, they've
Okay.
had that time lapse camera
Okay.
set up since
Nice.
January 20th. I did fail to mention one other. Do you see that beautiful piece of art in there in
Yes.
my office? The only reason it's in my office is because we actually don't have that many walls in this space. It's such beautiful lighting, and the ladies downstairs at People Driven, they say sometimes in the wintertime they feel like they're in a snow globe
Okay.
because you see all size glass from everywhere, which is beautiful. And so when I had contacted RJD Gallery, who they have 2 locations here in Romeo, I said, are there any pieces of Andrea's that could possibly hang in the DDA office? And they gave us number 5 of 500 prints, only one of 10 printed. And yeah, so she gets to be in there, and it's just a beautiful piece.
That's
So
awesome.
another beautiful donation
Right.
from one of our high-end stores, which we're
Right.
starting to get a few more of, which is exciting.
Yeah.
I wanted to also speak to you about how do you see people-driven assisting businesses in our downtown, or maybe even our academies. Those are probably two separate subjects, right? The academies of Romeo, us community schools, and then also our downtown businesses through some of your business services. But even if you don't get the business, how could you perhaps help some of our struggling companies in town?
Yeah, well, one of the things that, there's so many benefits of the partnership between the two credit unions and us coming together. And one of those is that we are able to bring business accounts, commercial accounts, whatever you want to call them, and commercial lending to people driven. That it was something we had done and had more more experience with. And so we brought that together, and now we're able to bring business accounts. And I know that there are a lot of people in Romeo who have been asking for years, do you do this? And so now we're able to do that, the accounts, we're able to do some lending, we're able to do some credit cards. We're bringing in treasury services, which is, for those businesses who want to have sweep accounts and things like that. So we see that as a great opportunity to not just help the residents of Romeo, but also to help the businesses in Romeo, which a lot of them are residents as well. And so, there's just layers upon layers and so many benefits, and, the ones we've already seen. I mean, sitting here at this table, okay, know how many, we didn't know what was going to happen, but here's another benefit, that we had all this furniture to get rid of because we were closing one of our facilities. And I look around here, and it all goes to good use, and it has sat. We moved into that space back on February 17th of 2020. And then we sent everybody home on March 12th of 2020.
Wow.
And most of this stuff sat unused until, we had half a dozen people in an office that would hold 20. And now all of this is being utilized, and it really warms my heart, and I know it warms the hearts of the others at People Driven, to know that the community, like you said, the group of young people in here, and that, maybe I'll use that to segue into the schools.
Sure.
It's, we do have some young people programs, but it's something that we want to expand more and be more involved. And I think a community like Romeo allows us to begin to do those things, because next month is actually National Youth Month for credit unions. And so, we will do some things there, but it's so important for kids to know when they're younger, to learn the good habits of saving and, borrowing in the right way. I mean, again, I'm not for kids borrowing money, but learning where does money come from and how do you use money? And money is a tool to do those things. And like you say, all those businesses on that list, they learned how to use the tool to have a business that's sustainable. And that's what we'd like to bring to the community, is more of that. Learn how to use that tool correctly.
So like responsible credit building.
Yeah, I mean, for kids, and there are, again, by kids, it's, I have 3 daughters who, they were, they're all adults now. But when they were young, we started out, okay, get a secured credit card. And that's something credit unions have that a lot of banks don't, where you can put $500 in an account, have your kid use this against that $500, and we're willing to give credit to somebody if we have it secured that way. And then when my daughters went to rent an apartment, they all had nice, good credit scores, even though they had very limited credit experience. But you need that today.
Yes.
To do these
Well,
things.
since we're swapping kid stories,
Right.
As you know, I think I mentioned before, we're a military family, and that's how our children started. Is through we've been part of a credit union for
Right.
decades, and it is a very different model than a traditional bank for
Right.
sure. So,
Yeah.
speaking of furniture, I think that's your old desk set.
Mine is up here somewhere,
Yeah.
and I think that's our old
I think that,
CEO's,
yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, it is. So
Exactly.
that's fun to have that up here.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So we're grateful for all of that. Um, are there any other, is there anything else you'd like for this community to learn, maybe about you individually, your role at People Driven Credit Union? Oh,
Well,
and we should also speak to our open house coming up, but go ahead.
okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, really, about me personally, it's just, I really, I hope it comes across that it's not, these are not just words to me. This is passion to me, because I would love to see, everyone in the community feel like they have enough and, have the things they want, but also not worry about making the payments of the things they want.
Right.
And that's what it's really about, because it's not to be in debt up to your eyeballs. It's to manage your finances properly. And that's the thing that I think people downstairs here, our employees can help you manage that. If they, if it's not them, somebody else in our organization. And that's where I could see us getting, even more involved. When I look at the future, it's, I had been a small business coach and executive coach for about 15 years prior to joining the credit union. And that kind of stuff that we can bring to the businesses and talk to them about some of the things, setting, having a vision, setting strategy, what's your why, things like that really can develop the community. And that's where I really think, that's where more of the opportunity is just to open up. And the more that people, things like the chamber, things like the DDA, when like-minded people get together, great things come out of it.
Amazing things come of
Right.
it, which that list that we just talked about a few minutes ago.
Right.
We just the DDA board just authorized a agreement with Verona Creative Marketing. So
Okay.
they are one of our downtown marketing companies. They do social media, they do websites, all that type of things. And we're going to be working. And so we'd love to create a workshop and have you there, where we'll be talking about how can you improve your online presence, your social media presence. And these businesses, they're, from sun up to sundown, especially the restaurant community, they're working there like crazy, and they don't have time to do this. But there's quick little tips and tricks and tweaks that you can do to various aspects of business that aren't hard, but you just have to take a few minutes to do those. I know we were just talking about printer stuff a little bit ago because we're struggling with that, but you got to take that time to get something fixed to move forward, right?
Right. That's right.
How about we close by talking about our joint open house and ribbon cutting ceremony that's going to be on May 16th, I believe, is what I sent out. May 16th from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. right here. Are you as excited about it as I am?
I am.
Yeah, it's
I
gonna be
get
a lot
to
of
meet
fun.
a bunch of the people that I hear about. I've walked around the streets and I've gone in and said hi to some people, but I'm very excited to, again, to be more of a part of the community, because it is proximity's power, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So the People Driven is going to have, my understanding is the whole downstairs is going to be open. So if anybody has questions about People Driven Credit Union,
Right.
what they have to offer, our upstairs is going to be here. We'll have refreshments. We'll have some music. We'll have some more special guests besides all of you all from People Driven.
Yep.
And we're just looking forward to just really opening the doors. We can't open the windows, but we can look through them
Right.
up here. But we're excited. So thank you for
Yeah.
joining us
Well,
today.
thank you so much for having us. And I know I said it before, but I'm really excited about what's to come, and even the things that we don't know are to come. Just like all this furniture being used,
I know.
instead of shipped off somewhere, it's being used, and that makes me happy.
Yeah.
Because there's, I don't know if you know I'll end with one story.
Sure.
So the Toy Story, the movie Toy Story, came about because it was this idea that everything has an essence, and even a toy. And a toy that's not being used is not as happy as a toy that's being played with. And this furniture did not have its essence. And being sat at, and being people actively using it, and that desk being actively used instead of sitting vacant.
Yeah.
So now the essence of Romeo is growing.
You just gave me goosebumps.
Well, and
That's awesome.
yeah, that's inspiration, right?
It is.
And it comes
It
from the
is.
Spirit, and that's what I believe. So yeah, that's so exciting to me. And we don't even know what the next chapter is.
I think you're right.
That's
We
the excitement.
don't. We don't know what the next chapter is, but I'm glad that we're part of the same book, right?
That's right.
And we'll see what that. Who knows how many more novels, right, or
That's
iterations
right.
of this will come. Thank you again, Steve, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Hearing back from our community is our utmost priority. That's why you can reach us at info@romeodda.org. Whether it's a question, a comment, a concern, even a complaint, we can address it right here on the podcast. Maybe we'll ask you to come on the show. Again, that's info@romeodda.org. You can also find us on Instagram and Facebook. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.